What is up, everybody? It's your boy Shema with the Ancient Watchman. Yeah, today we're gonna be I wanna be taking back to a throwback on the things that the Ancient Watchman used to get into, which is expose a lot of these one West Semitic camps and their false doctrines that are man-made. Man-made doctrines in order to deceive Hispanics, natives, even African Americans to think that they're the chosen people and that they're here to do the will of God, when in fact the will of God is basically like enslave the other nations, commit acts of injustice, just like the Bible, just like the God of the Bible. So, it's just kind of like a glimpse. Shalom, Yashra Allah. This is your brother Shema with the Ancient Watchman. So, who is Canaan? Because we still hold that premise that Canaanites are mostly West Africans, and that was the subject matter that was supposed to be discussed last night. And as many of you brothers saw, it was completely out of order. The brothers from the Issachar camp completely changed the script on us by not sticking with the subject matter at hand. So what happened back in those days is that I had created a plan where I was gonna trigger a lot of these leaders from a lot of these congregations to pay attention to what we were saying. And so because a lot of them pay attention to what we were saying, they couldn't ignore the facts. They had to invite us to debate them on their platforms, And so we went over there and we had this agreement where we were gonna talk about Canaan and who they were, right? Because a lot of these brothers, they teach that that Ishmael is the Arabs and the Edomites are the so-called white man, and they know everybody else except who the Canaanites are. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Just enjoying the night, just wanted to have a quick discussion online. There's a lot of people that have misconceptions about what we're bringing out and the things that we're saying, and the reason why I said that is because a lot of people are misunderstanding the information that's being presented. Yashua, shalom, brother. Ashar, Kapan, shalom. Elizabeth, shalom. Yeah, so I'm saying that there's a lot of misconceptions about the information that's being presented regarding Canaan, regarding, whether or not West Africans are Israelites and the like. And, but first of all, let me just speak briefly on what I see online about the death of that rapper in LA, right? A lot of people are so hateful to basically rejoice at the death of someone, right? Mind you, that's not our judgment. That's not our place to rejoice over someone's death. Not now, and so a lot of people from these camps quickly judge the other nations when in fact we are called to be the light unto the other nations. But anyway, Victor, shalom. Alejandro, hello, brother. But anyways, I'm not gonna go into anything deep. I know there's a lot of confusion online. Is the word Canaan the new N word? Because that's the idea, that's the misconception and misunderstanding a lot of people have, that whenever we use the term Canaan, we're basically, according to them, we're saying that, the N-word, and it's not the case. The word Canaan does not mean the N-word, and we're not using that word lightly. As a matter of fact, the word Canaan is in the scriptures. When we read Genesis chapter 9, verse 25 and 20 to 27, it tells us Canaan was cursed to be the lowest of slaves, and they were cursed to serve the Shemitic and the Japhetic nations. And we keep asking, everyone else under the sun in all these camps. Who are the Canaanites, and when did they fulfill their curse? To be what? To be servant of servants, according to Genesis 9:25, right? And a lot of these people run away from that scripture. They run away. They don't want to speak about it. They shun it away. They hide it. They hide the fact that even to the point of ignoring the scriptures in Psalms 83 when we speak about the crafty counsel and the presence of Canaan within that council, which is in Psalms 83. There's two Canaanite nations within that crafty council. And a lot of brothers within the Hebrew movement do not want to speak on it, nor do they have answers for it. Why? Why? Right? They don't know who they are, but they know who everybody is on, from ancient times, right? According to the nations, the Assyrians, whatever they're like, Ammon, Moab. You guys know what I'm talking about. But when it comes to Canaan, nobody wanted to find out who they were, so we came in, and that was the idea, which was to address who Canaan was. Instead, they wanted to break down Deuteronomy 28. And, when they try to do that to fit the so-called Negroes, they did. Anyways, I was saying that they did a horrible job in trying to explain the curses that apply to the so-called Negroes. When we ask questions, how do you fit verses 49 down to 53? And how do Negroes fit that? How do they fit that? And so they try to jump around, try to overpower the conversation, deflect, and called us names and stuff, and so what I'm trying to say is that they didn't stick with the subject matter. We agreed to come on their channel, on their show, or whatever you want to call it, and address who Canaan is, because that was the subject matter. To address who Canaan is, and we had an amazing presentation with a lot of historical facts that we were gonna show, bring historical facts, prophetic and archaeological facts, proving that most West Africans are not Israelites, but they're Canaanites and Egyptians. So, last night discussion, a lot of people that follow the Sicarii camp, a lot of the, faithful followers of the Sicarii are going to claim victory to them, but a lot of brothers are not going to see the fact that they muted us. They muted our mics, for the most part, many times. And when we wanted to explain our, certain parts of what they were, trying to bring out, they didn't allow us, so they tried to overpower the conversation, or they were trying to talk over us, and those are little things that they were trying to do to make us look bad, and make us basically trying to make their followers see that that we're wrong and this and that. But the subject matter was, who is Canaan? And that's what we were trying to address. That's what we wanted to talk about. And so, basically they spent 3 hours, going over Deuteronomy 28. And they were forcing themselves into the book. They were forcing themselves and the curses into the book by quoting or bringing out information that does not pertain to the subject matter. Prove who are the Canaanites, right? But anyway, yeah. So that's basically what was going on. That's basically what happened last night. Let me see. Approve. Jose, I approved you already. Come on live. Shalom, Yashala, Shalom. Daniel, Abraham, Alejandro, hello guy, Elizabeth, Alfred, Martha, Valente, John Johnson, Jeremiah. Yeah, so basically, we had the proof to come. The reason why we agreed to come into the Sicarii show
is to show and prove once and for all that what we've been saying is not a made up thing. We're not just making this up, and again, the Sakari camp kept on muting us throughout the entire conversation, and they didn't allow us to talk or say, bring out the subject matter. And like I was saying, that we have the evidence at hand. We have the slideshow. We have the historical facts and all the information. Um, Martha, I actually called you. You didn't answer the phone, so I don't know what you're talking about. I called you twice, and is we're gonna do a full breakdown on this whole thing. We're gonna present all the information, all the archaeological, historical, prophetic evidence concerning who are the Canaanites today. It's up to you, brothers, to decide if you are gonna, be on the side of truth or continue to follow a lie that these brothers have been pushing out for the past 50 years. And it's just like it happened back in ancient times when Canaanites were living in our land. They were living in our inheritance, and that's exactly what they are today. They're teaching our laws. They have our books in their hands. But guess what? They have defiled the whole thing, just
Hold on,
like they
hold
had defiled the
on.
entire nation
Deacon just
of
said
Canaan.
They just said that even Quana admitted a lot of us went to Egypt. Stop lying. If you actually listen to what Quana said, he brought out the same information we brought out yesterday. First, third Maccabees, chapter 4, and then he even gave you he was about to give you Josephus, and he gave you two more historians showing how that was already fulfilled. Okay, gee, this is ridiculous.
Anyways,
Anybody
bro.
who's seen the debate with Alazar and Quana saw Quana say that.
eh,
So like I was saying, like I had created a plan so that I was able to trigger everybody else from the entire community so that they were able to hear what we were saying. And because they did, they invited Kwana because as a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you guys in a minute how I brought Kwana onto my platform and everybody lost their minds, and he brought a lot of information out.
right? The gray powder mixed with the red, right? The red clay created what our skin tone is now, which is like a weird yellow, gold, copperish color. You know what I mean? Like that's how we ended up with what we have now, is from that. And and it's crazy because people will even do that with Yahweh. You know what I mean? They'll be like, "Oh, Yahweh's black," and they'll run to Daniel 7, right?
right,
And it's funny because you brought up wool earlier, right? You brought up the woolly hair.
right.
What's funny is that what most people consider to be woolly hair now, when we think of wool, we think of like the little Afro sheep and shit. Well, what's fucked up is that those sheep are indigenous to Europe. They're not indigenous to the Middle East. There's only one sheep, dude. There's only one sheep that's indigenous to the Orient, to the Middle East, to the Levant, and it's called the Awassi sheep. The Awassi sheep, Awassi. And if you look at the hair of the Awassi sheep, it's not like that.
Right,
It's wavy and it's curly and it's real messy. It's like our hair, you know what I mean? It's
right,
it's
right.
real fucking,
Thick,
you know.
thick. Right,
Right, right. And it's not, but it doesn't throw out like that. In fact, it even goes into dreadlocks naturally because our people can grow dreadlocks. Now, that's what I have. You know what I
right.
mean? So like it's nonsense to them. And then not only that, but they refuse to address Ezekiel, the first chapter, which gives the color of Yahweh. It calls him Kashamal. Kashamal in the Hebrew means an amalgamation of gold, silver, and copper. See,
There
they
it is, bro.
mock Yahweh constantly with the Illuminati because what do they give out as the medals at the Olympics? Gold, silver, and copper. And those three
Mhm.
colors mixed together is how Yahweh was viewed in Ezekiel's vision, not fucking black, dude. And all you have to
Right,
look up the Greek and the Roman and the Latin words for it. There's orichalcum and there's electrum. Electrum and orichalcum are the elements that are described in Ezekiel, the first chapter, and it's nowhere near what they say. It's actually more near what we're color we're.
And this is basically like in the middle of the war, like when I was going in, and like when Jose Vega was part of the ancient Watchman, and we were going in there. I brought a lot of people in to be part of my council, part of the council, so that we can help out the community, and that's what they did. And so when Quana came on my show, the Sicarii paid attention. They're like, we want him on because they wanted clout. That's all they did. Every time they talked about the ancient Watchmen, it's because they wanted clout. And so when Quana came on, he completely obliterated them, like destroyed their entire doctrine right in that day. And the next day, you know what they did? They deleted that video because
And that's why they deleted that video too. That's how they sneaky they are. They deleted that video because it completely exposes their nonsense.
On these like diaper looking things. Let me see. That one, yeah, that one.
See, that's the tomb of Rekmir. That's what everybody always goes to, right? Oh, look, man, look at them. They're making the bricks. Oh, man, that's us building the pyramids. But if you look up that tomb, it wasn't constructed till around 1450 BCE, and we had already left Egypt by that period.
What was the year that we left Egypt?
Huh?
What would be the year that we left Egypt, just according to your research?
Around circa 1500 BC.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Tutmos the First is the Exodus Pharaoh.
Okay.
Tutmos the First. They can't find his body. He was one of the only Egyptian pharaohs that can't find his body. They thought they had it. See, that's the thing. Egyptian, the Kemetic cats, and it makes you wonder, why do these guys cling to Egypt so bad, right? But anyways, these Philistines, right? They come at you and they're like, oh, well, comes from A History of the Jewish People in the Times of Jesus Christ from Edinburgh, 1896, page 11. Innumerable was the multitude of those who were sold away as slaves. At the annual market of Terebinth of Hebron, they were offered for sale in such numbers that the Jewish slaves was of no more value than a horse. What could not be disposed was brought to Gaza and there sold or sent to Egypt, on the way to which many died of hunger and of shipwreck. So we have a good little handful of historians that talk about what happened in Gaza. As well as we know that, even spiritually nowadays, the Gazites are selling us to the Edomites with their propaganda that they're pushing within the community. Since we know that, from what Torah says, the 5 lords of the Philistines are still among us. So now we'll go to Amos, and you said verse, what was that? 9?
9, yeah.
9. For thus saith Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity of Edom and remembered not the brotherly covenant. That's the same thing. And it's funny that you mentioned the Canaanites, because they did help to fucking sell us up and whatnot. And it's funny because that punishment for that is actually taking place right now as we speak in America. And if you don't mind, I would like to go to Ezekiel, the 28th chapter, right?
Okay.
And I know you guys have a different interpretation of this, but I would like to give mine, if that is okay. Ezekiel, the 28th chapter, right, verse 1, and I'm going to read out of your KJV for you. The word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, and we know that Tyrus, obviously what you were just pointing out now, is referring to Canaanites.
so the Sicarii deleted a video where like this other brother came on and basically like brought a lot of information to expose a lot of these cults, right? And then so that was kind of like the mission that I've done, where I had created like a council of war against Canaan, meaning a council of war against the false doctrines and the false teachers that are still operating at this very moment, lying to the community, to the people, with my main doctrines, following a false god at the end of the day, and a god of darkness, kind of like what I show you guys on my last podcast, exposing the God of the Old Testament. But anyway, so that's exactly how they operate. They operate in darkness and deception and lies. And so one of the videos that was done, a brother of us went and did a live and exposed them all.
And they can't come up against what he was saying That's why Alistair stood quiet, but he was running his mouth last night, trying to look, overpower the conversation, muting you when you were
Exactly.
trying to speak and all that
Exactly.
stuff.
Trying to be the tough
Like,
people now. Yeah, but when Quana
yeah,
was
but
on,
when he was talking
exactly.
to Kanala Wag, he stood quiet like a little baby. Right. But
Oh man.
you know, Latinos and Native Americans need to stop, following, all these false doctrines that are based on black supremacy ideologies from the Hebrew camps.
Yeah, man. So for those who are interested in checking that lesson out, I exposed like how the entire Black Hebrew Israelite movement began way back in the 1960s, bro. And it all began with like an Ethiopian um, Mason, right? They were all Masons, which, by the way, they had their own like synagogues because they were learning under the white men. So check that lesson out. It's on my YouTube channel. Like I'm gonna post like a little clip on it so you can kind of like get a glimpse of it. But I show you all the information. Like I bring all the receipts and whatnot. So reading what I'm reading. These is the main dude that pushed that Pan-Africanist ideology onto all these camps. And all these camps follow on our motto after the ideology of these men. You see?
And One West doctrines, which is, it was created based on Masonic rabbis that learn under the white man, Yoruba tribes that are Egyptians, according to the history. But anyway.
But yeah, man. So those who have been around with me for the past 8 years, that I've done this journey about discovery, learning false doctrines, so that they can be debunked, so that I can question their elders, so that I can question their teachers, like I did, and that's why when I was part of IUIC, I got excommunicated from that congregation. And they put a hit on me. Basically, like I had like at least 2,000 people that deleted me from Facebook because the orders came from New York by Elder Nathaniel and the leadership out there because they thought I was a threat. So they lied against me, saying that I was causing division and confusion amongst the community, when in fact I was asking questions about their doctrines. But that's what happens when you shine brighter than everybody else. They get offended by the light. So that was in brief words, like kind of like some of the things that went down as I took on this war. I planned this whole attack against these false doctrines, to attack their color scriptures.
And quick plug down all their high places.
That's exactly what we're about to do. We've been getting ready, doing that all across the boards, on Facebook, on YouTube. We're destroying all their little temples in the spiritual sense with all their false fire. We are gonna burn this garbage with fire according to Torah. You Latinos and Native Americans that are simple as hell need to understand what's going on. Give me that thing, bro. We're gonna burn this with fire. See? This is an idol right here. Latinos and Native Americans, this is not your God. This is the God of the Canaanites. In the name of Yahweh, we're gonna burn this thing. It's going to burn. All with their false doctrines and black supremacy ideologies. Latinos and Native Americans need to understand this is not your God, this is God's. You see? This image right here is gonna get burned too. These Hamite, these Canaanite gods are gonna get burned along with their doctrines and black supremacy ideologies. We don't give a damn. We don't care about these Canaanites. The Most High told you all to destroy them. And you see the white Christ? Much less. That's what is left of these Canaanite gods. You see that? Decode their doctrines and whatnot. And that's what happened. And, just like I planned it, I was like Well, I think I'm gonna do this for 4 years and just establish good foundation so people can like learn and unlearn a lot of things. And so that was kind of like the mission back then. And now, as we approach into a different timeline, we move to the next stage of my own spiritual evolution. You know, I'm bringing out certain things that people are not ready to hear. You know, but those who are ready to hear, the seeds are being planted into your subconscious so that you guys can actually wake up. You know, and that's the whole idea of this next stage of the ancient Watchman.